These classes are going to be recorded. So if you miss a class, I'm going to post them on YouTube and you can go and watch it later. You should assume that somebody in the class has family members within hearing. They may be children, they may be grandparents. So let's try and watch our language a little bit and be polite. I have a real problem with this. I definitely cuss like a sailor in lecture. So I'm going to try really hard to tone it down for this so nobody gets offended. If your cat or dog shows up, that's fine. If people show up in the background, I don't care. I have cats and they usually, at least one of them makes an appearance. They're a little worse with afternoon classes than morning classes, but they might show up. There's no textbook. You need good computer access. Anything that I'm going to ask you to read is going to be posted to Blackboard. So you don't have to purchase anything for this class. And a lot of the readings, I'm going to ask you to read them before class, and then I'm going to put you into breakout groups to have discussions about the readings. Anything that we talk about in class is fair game for quizzes and so on and so forth, even if it's not on the schedule. So let's try breakout groups. I want you guys to make a new friend. I'm going to send you into breakout groups, find out their name, their pronouns, and something you have in common other than being a college student. I'm going to give you 5 minutes in the breakout groups, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to ask you to, if you're comfortable, introduce your new friend. Let's see how many groups. We're going to have 2 or 3 people in each group. And here we go. Looks like one of the groups is having a good conversation.
Oh, we were. It was wonderful.
Oh, good. There's one group that hasn't even, nobody has come back yet. So they must be.
They're chatting it up.
Yep, that's good.
Or no one's in it.
All right. Welcome back. Does anybody want to introduce one of your new friends? Nate, I see you waving.
Okay, so my new friend Anita, she's 22, just recently had a birthday in the last 2 months. So happy belated birthday, Anita. She's a business major and she'll be transferring to Salem State. I also will too. So that's something in common. And she has one cat.
Okay, great. Thanks. Anybody else?
I was gonna introduce Nate.
Okay, go ahead.
He is 26 years old, and he was in the what is it? Air Force veteran, right?
Okay.
He also lived in Tokyo for 4 years. And his major is computer. Nate, can you help me? I forgot the last word.
Computer information systems. It's a mouthful, but you did great. Nice job.
Okay, thanks. I think Juliana, is that what you go by?
Yes, Juliana. So my partner is Jerry. I actually know Jerry from our biology class that we had last semester. And he is a marketing and advertising, I believe, if I got that right, Jerry. Okay, yeah. And so one thing that we both have in common is that this is our last semester at North Shore. We both are in the process of transferring and applying to universities. So yeah.
Great.
Let's go right behind Julianne.
Okay.
That's all we shared, honestly, because we were just in class together about 3 weeks ago. So and the professor we was in class with just emailed me while her and I were talking, which is hyper ironic. But Julianne, her major is criminal justice. She's, pray to God that she gets the transfer to Rutgers. Is it Rutgers?
Yeah, Rutgers.
In
that'd
Jersey.
be great.
I hope full financial aid. I hope they pay for everything.
Thank you.
I don't know. We didn't talk about cats and dogs and things of that nature, but yeah. Thank you.
Okay, great. Who else would like to go?
I can go.
Okay.
So in my group, I had Julia and Michael, and we kind of just introduced ourselves, kind of talked about why this class is interesting to us. And then Julia and I went like so far off topic, and we were just talking about the pandemic and how it's been like so much for everyone. And definitely interesting to see how this class can better help us understand and cope with the whole entire 2 years that we've been going through. So I don't know, very interesting conversation for a stranger. So
Okay. Good. Glad to hear that. Anybody else want to introduce their new friend? Nope. Okay, that's fine. All right, so we're going to talk about COVID on Thursday. Today is, I always hate the first class of the semester. I'm sure you guys hate it too, because it's all of this explaining how the class is going to work stuff, and it's not exactly fun. All right. It sounds like most of you have experience with this college, but if not, we're going to walk over to Blackboard for a second. You should all be seeing my Blackboard site right now. This is the Epidemics class, spring 22, that's us. Now, you're going to see some stuff on my screen that you don't see on your screen. So don't worry about that. Mostly what you're going to see on your screen, you're going to see an announcements page, which right now just has the Zoom link at the top, so it's easy to find. There's also course information. This is really the place to go if you have questions. So Zoom link and the YouTube channel. I mentioned that we're recording these Zoom meetings, so you can watch them if you miss them. A little bit about me. I say here, if you come across anything biology related you want to know more about, yeah, ask me. I have been teaching community college students for well over a decade now, and I have a broad range of knowledge that I've developed over that time. So I can answer a lot of biology questions. And we can talk about it in class, by email, or we can meet by Zoom. I'm actually living in California right now, so I can't meet you in person in any way, shape, or form, but we can meet by Zoom. If you want, we'll schedule something. You're going to find a lot of how-to guides. So how to do quizzes, how to submit writings. We have a project. There's a lot of information here about the project. I have to change the dates. Obviously, July 3rd is not the date the project is due. And oh geez, the topics are wrong too. What I get for copying things from other classes. So the project can be on any kind of topic related to diseases or epidemics. I've got a list started further down. I've got a whole bunch of diseases listed, and I've got some things that are not what you typically think of as pandemics. Pellagra, for example, is a nutritional deficiency. And there's a really interesting story behind pellagra in the American South. And between pellagra and hookworms, those are two major widespread health issues that kind of helped the stereotype of Southerners being dumb come about. So those are both kind of interesting stories, even though pellagra is not a contagious disease. All right, so I'm going to update the project with the correct dates. Topics have to be pre-approved, but I'm pretty flexible. It's something that we're not covering in lecture, but I'm really, I think I already just said flexible. I'm really flexible about these topics, and I'll let you talk about a lot of different things here. And the projects can be presented in a whole bunch of different ways. You can always write a paper. You can do an in-class presentation or a pre-recorded presentation. You can write a song and perform it. Yes, I've had students write songs before. Those are the best. You can write a graphic novel. You can do a fictionalized first-person story about a pandemic. So if you research pellagra and you want to talk about pellagra kind of like you're a person dealing with that epidemic, that's great. You can make a TikTok video. If you have another way you'd like to present information, that's fine too. I do ask you to do two things with your sources. One, of course, is tell me who your sources are. You're allowed to use one Wikipedia page in your sources. Wikipedia is pretty good with epidemic topics. And then I'm going to ask you to fill out this CRAP worksheet. CRAP worksheet is a checklist that helps you determine how reliable your source is. I've got information on how to study smarter, not harder. There's information here, and I know quite a few tricks about how to study a little more time efficiently. Technical assistance for Blackboard is here. I've got a whole bunch of links for resources, accessibility services, veteran services, tutoring, and of course, if you've got problems outside the classroom, food, housing insecurity, mental health issues, we have a whole bunch of links on our North Shore site. And they're really good support. North Shore does have a lot of support for students. Resources for taking online courses, my anti-discrimination rant, a copy of the syllabus. Most of the information you need is going to be on Blackboard under course information. The syllabus also has a bunch of boilerplate that I'm required to put in, but it's another place to go for information. Grading breakdown. So hang on a second, turn to the page. So in general, most weeks, you're going to have two assignments, a quiz and a journal entry. The quizzes are going to be multiple choice, and the journal entry is going to be a short writing assignment. Quizzes are going to be based on the previous week's lectures. The journal entries are going to be about the topics that we've been talking about. And the journal entries they're nice for non-science majors because it gives you a chance to talk about your thoughts and your opinions without having to worry about, does the data support your opinion? At least for the journal entries. So, feel free to write whatever you want. 4 times in the semester, we're going to have slightly longer quizzes. I'm calling them review quizzes. So the one on February 6th will cover everything that we've talked about in lecture up to that date. And then for March 13th, everything covered between February 7th and March 13th. We're also going to have 4 short essays. These do need to be backed up by scientific fact. They're about 2 pages long. And with the short essays, there's going to be a plagiarism checker. I am pretty flexible about a lot of things. Plagiarism is not one of them. So if you plagiarize on any assignment, you will get a 0 that you are not allowed to drop. That's going to be the short essays or the project. Plagiarism is using someone else's words without referring to them or indicating that they're somebody else's words. It's kind of like you're stealing their writing. You're stealing the way they answered a question or said something and claiming that that's what you said. For the quizzes, the journal entries, and the short essays, I drop one out of each category. So while you've got 4 short essays, if you blow off the one due on May 8th, that's fine. You can do that. The project is a big part of the grade, and that is due on May 1st. We have a tentative lecture schedule. So this is the idea of what we're going to talk about, but we can be flexible. We can change things up a little bit, spend more time on this and less time on that. Like I said, I'm pretty flexible. Down here at the bottom, I may move some things around so that all of the project stuff is together and all the study guide stuff is together. This is my suggestion on how to study, specifically focusing on science classes. So a lot of students like to do flip cards, but they don't know the most efficient way to use them. So I've got information on that here. For any assignment that you are not able to complete on schedule, email me, preferably before it's due, and say, I need an extension. And I will give you an extension. I don't need a reason. It can be because you're sick. It can be because your kid's sick. It can be because you got called into work or you're hungover. Although if you're hungover on a Tuesday, you've been partying hard. So no excuses are necessary. I will give you a 3-week extension just for asking. Now, if one student does this a lot, then we're going to have to talk about what's going on. Why are you having problems getting so many assignments in late? And we'll see if we can work out a plan. All right. Now, I think I've probably gone over, yeah. So there's a few things here that are in the PowerPoint that we're not, that I haven't talked about yet. This is a very interesting way to talk about how to Google more efficiently. So if you're looking for a specific topic, you know, if you're looking for information about COVID, that can be ridiculous. So these are things that you can use. You can put something in quotation marks to look for exactly that term. I love this one. You can put a dash or a hyphen to indicate you don't want that particular topic. So Dolphins, not the football team. I love this one. The tilde, which is this funny looking up and down guy, usually to the upper left on your keyboard, is if you're looking for synonyms. So you might be looking for music classes, but somebody might have listed them as lessons. So you want to make sure that you include all of that. If you only want to search a specific website, site, colon, and then you can search that site. Vertical bar allows some flexibility. 2 periods are good if you're talking about a time range. This is useful when we're talking about pandemics of the past. If you want to look at plague pandemics, there have been a lot of them and they've gone on for a long time period. So you may need to shorten the time period. Google Scholar is a great place. It's an alternative search engine that gives you what are usually really good sources and a lot of scientific publications. Now, scientific publications can be very, very hard to read. For this class, read the abstract. There's going to be a part at the very beginning that's going to kind of summarize the publication. You can usually get those for free. They're much easier to read than the full article. If you want the full article, there's a website called Sci-Hub that has them available for free. Or you can go on Twitter and use the hashtag ICANHasPDF, especially if one of the authors of the paper is on Twitter. Scientists are usually very generous with giving those out. For this class, there's a podcast called This Podcast Will Kill You. This is an excellent source about epidemics. They are 2 epidemiologists who present very good science-based information. Their website has some transcripts, links to scientific publications, links to articles that they think are particularly good. So you can use them either directly or indirectly as a source for other places to go look for information. Okay, that's our schedule. All right. Let me just check my notes real quick. See if I left anything out. Does anybody want me to talk more about anything we've talked about today, or you just?
What word did you find out recently was a derogative word? Because maybe we're using it the same way you did.
Okay, the word is actually, it's a culinary term. There's a type of lime called a kaffir lime, Kaffir. If you're not a foodie, you may not have heard about it, but apparently that is a derogatory word. And like I said, I literally found out about it yesterday.
Surprised that word is used frequently, considering I've never heard of it in my life.
Me either. I was like, oh, okay, this went over my head.
I was expecting something like, okay, here we go. What is it? And then when you mentioned like a lime or something of that nature, I was rather confused.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a food nerd.
So as far as the, I just looked up the podcast and it's available. We're utilizing the podcast for what purpose, Professor?
For personal interest or as a source for your project.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
It's also a great place to look for potential project topics, because if they've talked about it, it's a good topic.
Yeah, some hilarious titles here, so it looks interesting.
Yeah, they're fun.
I had a question about the final project. I didn't see it as an option, but is PowerPoint, like a PowerPoint presentation, is that something you would accept?
If
Or
you,
would go ahead.
if you
Seth.
present it to the class, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Great. Thanks.
You're welcome. Anything else?
I'm wondering how come we're not going chronological order as to when these viruses and diseases appeared, because I want to get to the Black Plague first. I learned a lot about that. It's so interesting.
It is. It's very interesting. The reason we did that is actually because in the past I've gone chronologically.
Yep.
But I found that the students tend to get more invested in the class early if we talk about things that are going on now or that they have learned about in their lifetimes.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, we're not getting to the Black Death till after spring break.
Man, it's also back to your point of people saying it's cool. It's such a cool thing. It's not cool because 2/3 of the whole population died or whatever the number was, but just what they found out, what transmitted it, that was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff there.
The review quizzes will be due on every Sunday, but what about the journal entries? Is that like a discussion board, or where will those be posted and how often?
Those are going to be, I don't know that I showed you the modules, did I?
No, they're not available to us yet.
None of them?
No, there's no module yet.
Okay, the cat is sitting just in front of my screen below what you can see. Okay, so you guys are not able to see this link on your screens. Let me go to student view.
I can see that the 18th and the 20th now. I can see that.
Okay, yeah. So that's this week's module. And in the module, I'll have kind of an overview of what we're going to talk about, what I want you to understand, your checklist, which includes the assignments that are due. So there's a quiz up and a journal entry posted. This folder will have reading assignments, as well as this page called Terms and Concepts. This is kind of like a study guide.
Can you go back to where you found this week's module? I still can't find it.
Okay, do you see this part over to the left on your screen?
Yeah,
It's
never
not
mind.
a
Thank you.
module, it says week 1.
Yeah, it's not called a module, it's just called week 1 with the dates.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. So terms and concepts, this is a good thing to look at before lecture. And so we don't have a lot of topics this week, but we've got a list of terms and the major concepts that we're going to be talking about. So this is kind of your study guide for quizzes. We've also got a reading. I'm going to ask you to have that read before next week's Tuesday class. And the assignments still under the week folder module, whatever you want to call it. The assignments are here. There's your journal prompt and this week's quiz, which is an introductory quiz. It's not going to have any facts that you have to know at this point, except, things like your name. You do have to know that.
How long do the journal prompts the journal have to be?
Most weeks we're going to have a journal prompt.
How long do you want them to be, like a certain number of words, or?
I've got it listed here as a minimum of 12 sentences, which isn't very long, but I find that allows, most of the time, if people answer it in less than 12 sentences, it's showing that they didn't think out the topic very well, and they don't discuss their answer very completely. I find 12 sentences is a good length for these guys. anything else you guys want to know? Besides all about the Black Death? Okay, next time we're going to talk about COVID. I'll see everybody then.
Certainly haven't heard any of that COVID thing in a long time, I tell you what.
We're going to talk about the science.
All right,
right.
sir. Take care. Have a great day. It was a pleasure meeting you all as well.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good group. I'll see everybody next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.